sure everybody has seen the announcements, and so I can't believe it, but it's true. We're halfway finished with the semester. And so I'm practicing more and more videos, and this is a YouTube I did that was 6 minutes of all this. And so one of the things I need to transfer into your Excel spreadsheets that go under your start here is an adjustment of the dates, because the dates, I was trying to figure out better ways now that we're all kind of adjusting to being online of how to make sure we're getting everything in and to communicate. Especially I wanted to do this for classes that are not meeting in person, but we're always 100%. And so I don't know, would you just let me know if you have, oh wait, we could do this with a quick poll maybe, to let me know if you have seen, well, maybe we don't need a poll. I just want to know if anybody, how many of you have looked at this chart that shows what's due when? I'm just hoping this helps. You can maybe send me a note, but so this is, the green is what's due this week, and then I'm putting in time estimates too. Remember, if it's 2 hours, you're supposed to spend anywhere from 2 to 3 times that amount per week. So if it's a 2-hour credit class, you want to spend 6 to 9 hours, 4 to 6 hours a week. So this works out to be about that all the way through to the end. So you've got this coming week, then next week, the first week of July. Gosh, it's just moving very quickly. Anybody have any reactions to that at all, about the fact that we're almost done? Suve, I just saw that you saw it. Did you get my note to you about the discussion post that you put?
No, I didn't see it.
You didn't? Okay. So, Suve, will you trust me to go ahead and talk to the class about your discussion post, which I was going to ask you about first? You just trust me that I'll do it right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you guys have an opportunity, and I haven't graded everybody's, I think there are others of you who, after I graded Suve's, or I should say just looked at it and assigned the points to it, that could have are also good representations, but I ran into Suve's first. Hers was was perfect, and that was the way that she incorporated the book, the textbook, and her personal experience, and a reference, in this case, to the video from Denzel Washington. So, Suve, what I asked permission for was if I could not only talk about it in this class, which I've just done, but I would really like to take yours and others in this group and post them as examples with other classes. So you can tell me later on that. But you're doing... that was a great example. I'm so eager to see what the rest of you may have stated in your discussion post. So let me compliment you on that. The second thing I want to do is I want to hear, how are you doing on your group project? So let me go from the announcements before I let you loose on your discussions. One group has already submitted your group plan, and I don't recall who that is. I can think about it in just a moment. But let me see if you have all know what you're doing next. So this week, what you have due is discussion number 2, which a lot of you are moving forward, and I just haven't had a chance to grade yet. And then the other one is going to be your group plan dealing with the activity. So let me just stop for a moment. I'll open this up. I think we went over this probably ad nauseum last week, but we're going to look at it one more time. And I just am curious to see how your groups in general are working. So can anybody talk to me about that, how you feel like you're coming along? Oh, is it group? Yes, Dariel, I think it is. I think you are the group that might be why you're number 1, because you came in first. So Dariel's group did submit their plan. And let me see, somebody talk to me about how you think your groups and how the process is working. I mean, what's it like? Would somebody volunteer to tell me? I'm going to share the blank group plan. I hear somebody wrestling. Dariel, can you just, since your group was submitted first? Okay, well, there you go. Oh dear, that's the Rottweiler. Or no, it's not, that's the mutt. Anyway, how is the group process working? You don't have to speak about your group in particular if you want to. You can just ask or answer for me, how's your group? How's it just being with a group? How does that help to kind of make it feel more personal or what? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good experience to have a group to work with in general.
Okay, good. So since this is anonymous, I had a person ask me something, and let me see if I can go and pick that up without making this, see if I can do this. This was a question I received from another group, and I'm going to let you guys see it real fast. I'm going to put it in chat if you all can look at chat. I thought this was brilliant. I'd love to know your thoughts about this other student from another class. What do you make of his question? What is the difference between a group and a team? I'm not really sure if we're a group or a team. Now, there was a lot that could be read into that. I'd like to hear what you all think. You can either chat it for me or you can, Gabriel, how come you laughed? Dariel, how come you laughed? All right, so Gabriel, team, everyone participates. A group is just fun. Yeah, I agree. So I said, yeah, Valerie, I agree with him too. So I said, do you remember these stages? I'm going to put this in chat for you where you form and then a group storms. You think you're a team? Well done, Suve. And to your whole team too. Then you norm, and then you perform, and then you adjourn. Those are the stages of group development. I forced a formation on you, and then people storm. Remember, sometimes groups never get out of that stage. Then once you settle down into who knows who, everybody's jockeying for position. You know, sometimes people just have to establish their dominance or, I think when I was growing up, we used to call that showing out. I really don't even know what that means, but I knew what it meant. And I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but I knew what it meant. That's part of storming. You know, sometimes people get on people's nerves immediately because chemistries don't match, or they're just confused about the assignment and it boils over onto everything else, or it could just not boil over onto everything else. It could be everybody's so confused. So that's a storming stage. How many of you would say that you are at the norming stage? So let me just do that in a poll, and I'll see what happens here. And I'm going to ask this question in, let me think how I can, oh, I know, let's do a multiple choice. And let me see where we are here with your groups. And then I want to go on with what else is going. So I'm not even going to include the forming stage because you didn't have a choice. I mean, I guess you did have a choice. And I think some of you aren't even meeting yet. So nobody will see this. Again, this is purely anonymous. We just see the count. Hang on just a second. There's your poll. I would like to see if you guys would give me an answer. My group is at blank stage of group development. We're stuck. Okay, fair enough. Oh gosh, 2 of you. Okay, 1 of you's norming. 1 of you's storming. Fair. If I could hear from 5 more of you, that'd be great. 2 of you are performing, 2 of you are norming. 1 person thinks your group is storming. How about the other 5 of you? 4 of you, because I'm number 5. Well, maybe 2 more. Can 2 more of you please plug in? I know I've got 1 caller, so I'm not so sure that you'd be able to do that. All right, well, just because I know I'm number 1 there, 2 of you haven't responded, but let me put this out there like that. And so you guys should see that. So we have 2 that are storming, 2 people who think their group are norming, 3 that are performing, 3 people. Remember, this isn't 3 groups, 3 people, and 4 of you who think you are stuck. So now that could be very interesting about what is making a group stick. So I'm going to tell you that what I think is if you are still either at number 1, the storming stage, or if, well, maybe Bunker needs to be in his crate. Or if you're at the we're stuck stage, then you are still a group and not a team. That's what I would think. I think at the norming and the performing stages, you're a team. So let's think just a second about what would make a group be stuck and what would make a group storm. So I'm going to throw out one of the things that I think in chat, and this is open for anybody, not just if you think your group is stuck or your group is storming, but what are some of the reasons that all of you could chip in that might have a group be at one of those levels? So I think the first one would be time. So I think another one would be clarity of purpose. Let's see if I can spell. In other words, you know what you're supposed to do as a group. You've got time to work together as a group. So time, clarity of purpose. Part of clarity of purpose would be, time. Keisha, you think time to understand why we are doing it. All right. So, anybody else? Oh, Martin says time too. So if you were listening, like David and I were doing, I think, Krista, you were on that call earlier too when things were starting up. I had that one TED Talk on. I just want to make a plug in there for TED Talks one more time. They're just so cool. Coursera, TED Talks, those are some of the things I do just to keep my brain active, is that it takes, 45 minutes? David, was it 45 minutes a day or 45 minutes for a week to learn something new? Do you remember? I think it was a day. And so 20 total hours is how much time. So then I would think, no, not answering, Fazia, you're not not answering. In other words, people not responding to groups. You send out an email and people don't respond. Is that what you mean, Fazia? Okay, good. All right, so in that case, what I would think is, tell me, how are you, those that are reaching out to people and you're not hearing from them, then how are you handling that, or what are suggestions from other people of how to handle that? And then let's talk about what the best options are. Anybody? Oh, email and keep it moving? Yes, I would say that's true, Gabriel. I would do the same. So if you are working with a team, I know in one of, I need to double check and see where that's coming from. I think some of that can be related to us. Oh, forget what I was about to say. I think that's related to. I think sometimes people are uncomfortable with technology. I think some people in their regular lives, forget about the group, but in their own regular lives, they haven't established a routine yet. So let's just put up some of the reasons people might not be responding. One might be, I don't want to say fear of technology, but how about technology awkwardness? I don't know if that's a word, but I mean even a legit, but we're going to call it that way. The other would be lack of routine, either because they just haven't learned it yet or they can't. Maybe their life is chaotic. Life is chaotic means they don't have a choice. They're just trying to keep up, or they are chaotic. And that means that they just haven't gotten their own rhythms yet for whatever reason could happen. You know, I'm sure after, for example, after my dad passed away, and I use that a lot because that was such a defining moment in my life, that I lost all sense of routine. And I was working with groups in my graduate school program, and they just discounted me, and I ended up doing a lot of solo work because I wasn't dependable. I think I'm a very dependable person with a lot of conscientiousness about my teams and about my work. I was just wasted from the impact of the loss that I experienced. So we never know what's going on with people. We don't know what sicknesses they have, yada, yada. So how do we do like Gabriel said and keep it fair and keep moving? So here's what I would suggest to you. If you have reached out to a teammate at least twice and you've not heard from them, then when you're filling out your group plan, only put down like in, you see where I have A, B, and C, and I didn't put D simply because I forgot. So, I mean, I didn't forget. That's not really true. I had some sort of a hiccup in my, where'd it go? Hang on just a second. And there we go. In putting in D, and I'm not so sure why, what happened. But, oh, that happened. There you go. So I just didn't have time to fool with whatever bug that was. So put in your group members that are active. Make sure you create the group name. And I cannot remember, Daryl, what is your group's name? It starts with an A. Oh, fiddlesticks. I cannot remember what you all called yourself, but I know it starts with an A. And so put down the members that are active, and then as you're filling out this entire form, and you get down to the bottom where you do the name and the action item and the due by. Don't include those people any longer, because then I know to reach out to them separately, and either I'll they'll can be part of another group, or they'll just do something different. They don't become anything you need to be, anyone that you need to be concerned about. So does that make sense? If you guys will give me a thumbs up. Alpha, that's right, Alpha. There you go, Alpha. I knew it meant first. Okay, yes. All right, so if you'll do that, that'll be my way of managing how the points are distributed. Tell me about your adding or using the activity link. How is this working? I've tried to work with Blackboard support. Let me go back in and share this, for Pete's sakes. Sometimes I forget that. All right, so I do want to keep in mind that we need to have kind of a generous spirit about people that we don't hear from because we don't know. You know, some people are maybe too bashful. It's just, I guess my point is that we just don't know what's going on. So remain generous to them and things of that sort. And why did I come back here? Oh, this, yes. So everybody, this is working, right? So when you go in to your lecture or your group, you'll want to go to activity groups, and I can't see the group that I'm supposed to be in, but I just want to make sure, how is your link? Are you going directly to your group? And if I go out here, let me exit preview just for a second, and well, hang on, let me check with you first. How is that working? Is that how you guys are communicating? through the activity groups. Is that where you're submitting things through? Oh, good, Danny. I'm glad that you do think your team have excellent communication. Danny, can you tell me what is making your team have excellent communication? Do you, and you can come online or you can type it out. How you use GroupMe for faster chat. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, GroupMe is excellent. So let me do one thing just for a moment. We have a scheduled meeting as well. Yeah, oh, that's excellent. Yeah, having scheduled meetings. That's good too. Okay, so I want to just go back to the class just a second. I want to come back to groups before I let you go. And, we'll probably stay on the phone until 7, and then you guys can use the rest of this time. I will stay on until 8 just to make sure that if you have any needs or anything, let me know. This is the first time I have ever used in such great numbers this group's activity using the group's function, the group's function on Blackboard. So I'm really curious for multiple reasons how it's working. But we're not just doing groups, of course. We have other things that we need to do. So I want to go to this calendar. And I do want to show you right here. Let's see if I can blow this up for you. It's at 110%, but I want to bring it up to 150. So you know that your rough draft of your PowerPoint presentation, and I will learn when you submit your group plan exactly what your group is going to be focusing on from Chapter 3. That activity takes care of not just Chapter 3, but also Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 in how you take notes. For example, that's on, for those of you who have the hard copy, on page 113. And then Chapter 6 is about active reading and research. So the activity exercise, and of course it works with PowerPoint, it does a whole lot of things, covers a whole lot of information. And it's also going to be how you write about your learning styles. Because when you take your learning styles, which will take us back to Chapter 4, and it deals with Chapter 4, 7, and 8, you'll think about the activity exercise. This will be after your group has adjourned. And so it will be looking back after you've taken the assessments about the type of personalities and the way that you view the world. And I'll be asking about how you worked as a team and if any of your learning styles conflicted with anybody else's on the team. This will also be the time when we do your SMART goals reporting, and I've looked at, I'm looking at your SMART goals today, as a matter of fact, and grading through those. So, but let me just take care of what's in June. So you know that your group plan is due this week. I've just shown you that. Dariel and her group are the alpha group, which, by the way, means the beginning. And so alpha, the first letter. So they are the first group and got everything in. I love that play, Dariel and team. Next week is the tutorial in PowerPoint. That is in lesson 6 and only takes a couple of minutes if you just want to get that off your plate. I also want to point out that the test, I realized, first of all, we're under a crunch. Secondly, you already tested on chapters 1 and 2. And so the test that is due by next week, it's in lesson 7, then that's only going to cover chapters 3 and 4. So I'm not going to go through chapters 1 and 2 again, and we'll just do chapters 3 and 4. You should be familiar with chapter 3 because you can't do your group without it. In other words, you have to select out of chapter 3 what you want to study. So I'm hoping you've already read that, which will leave chapter 4, and chapter 4 is about how you learn, and the learning styles and things like that will come in July. But at least you'll get familiar with it in chapter 4. The other thing I want to do is the weekly calendar. I want to introduce it to you this week in the next 27 minutes that we've got, give or take. This goes back to your Excel tutorial. And so the weekly calendar, I did do an audio recording on this one last night that was 42 minutes long. But part of that was because I was making mistakes and showing how it's okay to make mistakes. And then the rough draft of your PowerPoint presentation is also due next week. So you can see on the weekly calendar that I said the 27th, and then July the 4th could be your flexible date. So the Dropbox will close on July the 4th. The three things that are hard stops next week are your PowerPoint tutorial, which has just, it's the same thing you've been doing. It's the last one, and it's the one that you'll be using to produce your rough draft of the presentation. I would just go ahead and get it out of the way, and indeed some of you are already. Even though this is 60 minutes, there are only 26 questions for chapters, the test for chapter 3 and 4. So that is 13 questions coming out of each chapter. It's an open book test. It may take you 60 minutes. However, I think with 26 questions, it's not as onerous as it could be. The weekly calendar is going to be a stretch, but that's why I said you could deliver it on July the 4th. And the rough draft of the presentation is just kind of like a storyboard of how your presentation currently looks, but it's more like having a footprint of, okay, we're going to put the title slide here. This will be application number 1. This will be the app number 2 in our subject area. I'm sorry, that's bunker. So now let me stop. What do you think? Are you all still there? Are you all unconscious? In other words, I know that. Yes, I love it when you ask questions. Is that you, Valerie?
Yes. So
okay, Valerie, can you hang on just a second? The dog is going to eat somebody.
No
Jonathan, can you maybe take them outside? Valerie, hang on, honey. All right. Yes, Valerie.
So for the rough draft of the PowerPoint presentation, does that necessarily
Yes,
have
ma'am.
to be on PowerPoint? Can it be like Microsoft or anything like that?
Microsoft Word, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's an excellent question, and yes, it does need to be on PowerPoint. Can you tell me what the intention of the question was? I mean, in other words, are you saying we don't know PowerPoint well enough yet by the 27th to do it, or what?
No, I was just asking so we can fully put everything together as a rough draft on PowerPoint. That way, when it gets towards the end, we can just adjust anything that we need to for the final submission.
Yes. So that sounds like exactly how you're supposed to do it. The idea is that you're learning PowerPoint together, plus you want to see how it's going to flow. Remember that you're going to do a narration over this as well, so you want to have your timing. If you do the rough draft on the PowerPoint 2 weeks before it's due, Valerie and everybody else, then I have a chance to look through it and say you might want to correct this, you might want to correct that. You don't lose any points for it coming over as a rough draft. As a matter of fact, unless you leave things blank, you're not going to lose any points until you get to the final. So all of these are opportunities to just build up points, many more points over and above what's in the grade book. So, if you will, a lot of extra credit. But it also gives me a chance to give you feedback on how you're actually learning and applying what you know and are learning about PowerPoint. Does that answer your question, Valerie?
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are there any other questions? Okay, let me just see. I have some chats. Let me see what we've got here. Oh, Keisha, not much experience with PowerPoint. Yes. You know, I don't know what the rest of you think. I don't have much experience either. However, well, I certainly have a lot more than I did before. However, I really use YouTube a lot. And so, and your tutorial. I did a PowerPoint for my graduate class last summer using your PowerPoint tutorial, the same one that you're about to. So Keisha, I think you'll have more experience as you move forward. Let's talk about Excel just a minute. Let me ask you this. I'm going to do another quick poll real fast. It's just a yes or a no one. I just want to see what you say to this. Hang on just a minute, evidently. Can you guys see that? I use Excel spreadsheets already. Do you guys see, did it come over, the poll? Do you see the poll?
What was the
Does
question?
anybody, well, the question is coming up on a poll. Do you see yes or no? I use PowerPoint already. Do you see that poll?
Is poll results or something?
Oh, you can't click it? Okay, let me stop this just a second then. Let me try it again because I want to see this before I introduce the PowerPoint just to get you started on Excel. So, oops, I'm doing it with my fingers on the wrong letters. Because I want to do this Excel thing with you guys real fast. I use Excel spreadsheets already. Now let's see if you can click that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, good. How about the rest of you? There you go. Just a few more of you, please. Awesome. All right. So it looks like no, and 4 of you, let me just show you the results. So 4 of you do it already, and 7 of you don't. So for those of you who do it and use Excel already, if you could help me, I want to do a quick review of the assignment that's coming up. It's in lesson 7, the same spot that your exam is in. And what you need to do on this is to keep up with, when I say exam, let me show you what I mean. Hang on. Okay, this is the test. So let me edit. This is not tests again. I'll change this. It's not tests on chapters 1 through 4. It's on chapters 3 and 4. Just remember that. 26 questions, open book. And so if you can get that out of the way quickly, just knock it out. So here's your assignment, and let me see if I could show you what the assignment samples look like too. Let's see if this is opened at all. Nope, that one's not. So I am going to open these samples real fast of how you do this assignment. And let me open the second one too so you have some variety. And so the idea, if you read in probably chapter 3, where it talks about balancing your time across your friends, school, work, you guys are all trying to balance so much. And I think that might be on page 60, where it talks about balancing your time, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. And so I had a student call me Monday in office hours for their class and said, do you have any suggestions for doing that? How do we balance our time? So the first thing I would suggest is figuring out how do you currently spend your time. So this exercise is for chapters 3, chapters 2, when you talk about emotional intelligence, and chapter 11, which is how do you take care of yourself. Plus, it also deals with Excel. So let me open up the samples of what were some of the best ones that I've ever seen. Well, from last semester's, there's 2 really good ones. I get a lot of good ones. I'm sure I'll get good ones from your class too that are just demonstrate a lot of expertise with Excel. And they don't have to be fancy. It just needs to be a good snapshot of what your life looks like. And that's what you're after. You're going to track for 5 days what you do on a daily or rather hourly basis. If hourly is too much, you have to figure out, well, how do I keep up with this? And some of you are going to be daunted by this and not want to do it. So I'm going to encourage you to don't think like that, because people learn so much when they do this exercise about how they actually spend their time. So if you're wondering, how do I balance my life? Again, the first thing to figure out is, well, what are you doing now? And this is the snapshot a week of how you do it. So this exercise, again, does two things. It exercises your Excel skills, but it also tries to get you to look at why you might not have as much emotional intelligence because you're exhausted, resilience because you're not sleeping, and motivation because maybe you never eat and you just don't take care of yourself. And so this was, I thought, a colorful example of how someone executed the assignment, which I'm going to walk over or through with you, just go through the steps and show you how it's done. So you can see this is their how their day started. And I want you to notice how they take care of the three parts of this exercise. So again, this doesn't have anything to do with your group. This is your individual work, although one of the categories you're supposed to do is dedicated study time. So you can see this student's dedicated study time was here. You will also put in a group time. At least I would imagine that you would. That's how this might relate to your group, is reflecting what time you're working on it. So she has it color coordinated so that all the yellow matches here, and then she does the hours. And then so it's the week, and I have done this exercise myself. It's a booger. And so what I mean by that is you just can't plug into an Excel spreadsheet as you're going along, or I couldn't. Okay, this is what I was doing, this is what I was doing. But what I was able to figure out was a code, so that if I put an asterisk, like from the number 8, then I knew that that meant X. I was eating. So instead of writing out a whole lot of stuff, I put asterisks wherever I was eating. You know what I mean? Like this is an asterisk over the number 8. That's an asterisk there. So anytime I saw that, I would just know to go back later and to make it pretty like this. So let me just pause just for a second. This assignment's got 3 portions. It's how you spend time during your day. Look, she takes all the way to midnight when she evidently goes to sleep at 11, what would that be, 11:45. And then she does the category. This is part 2 with your hours. And she didn't do a summation here. So one of your formulas could be just going here, going to auto sum. So she's accounting for 117 hours, 117.25 hours of how her life was spent Monday through Friday. So, you know, life is a non-renewable resource. In other words, once a day's gone, it's done and dusted. And so I think another motivation for doing this exercise for me would be, am I spending it, this unlimited resource, in the way I want it spent? So I used to have a friend, his name was Stephen Clayman, and we worked for a company that had 43,000 people in it, and every year he was a top performer, won an award every year for the 15 years he worked there. And one of the practices he did was this weekly calendar in the spring and in the fall, just to make sure that what he was doing with his time was what he wanted to do. And listen, if you don't hear anything else about this assignment, listen to this. You capture what you are doing, not what you think you ought to be doing. So don't should on yourself in this exercise. Just capture what you really are doing. And that's where this analysis of time comes from. I don't know if you can see what this student wrote. Let me blow it up just a little bit. When this student looked back, in case you can't see it, it says, this week I could have spent more of my peace and entertainment time, which I think she plugs in as kind of a purplish color, and it's all over the place, which is good. She had a lot of peace and entertainment. She said, I had a great amount of entertainment time, although I have easy classes. I could have managed my time wiser and working ahead on it. I think what she means there is working ahead on her assignment. instead of hanging out. So that is an aha moment for her. Now, let me show you one more example, which may be, and I know I just lost you guys, so don't worry about that. And I'm going to come back and pick you up just for a minute. This example, if you'll hang on, I'll pick you up, bring you with me. This example is also from a student of last semester, and probably one of the most intricate I've seen. This was hers. So she actually, I don't know how in the world she did this, but you can see she has 2 jobs. She has 2 children. I know because I know the student was. And so look at this. I also don't know how she did this beautiful highlighting, but I know that there's part of it design in Excel. And so I put both of these in your samples just so that you would have something to go back to. You can see here that she's even more detailed than I asked her to and to be, or asked students to be, and she's divided it not just for the category for a weekly time usage, but daily. So she's gone over and above. It's probably one, as I said before, one of the more intricate I've ever seen. And then I think it's interesting how she assessed her time usage, how she included her SMART goal. Again, I know there's some that are calling in. You might not be able to see this, so I'll read this for you. It says, my time is very scheduled out in order to make sure I get to do as much as possible. Depressingly, due to moving my second job to the evenings in order to do schoolwork, I rarely spend more than a few minutes with my husband. I will have to carve out some time for us. So in other words, that's an aha that she's gotten from looking back at her week. I do miss my more relaxed schedule, the one I had before I returned to school, but I know I'm working towards a better future. I am happy. I have been following my SMART goal of going to bed by 10 and getting a solid 8 hours of sleep. Flex time can be used to do more school work, one-on-one kids time, 2 minutes with her children, or in rare instances, a break, AKA, in other words, that's what AKA means, in other words, self-care. So, taking a deep breath and wanting to know your opinion of this assignment. Rosabelle, you're so cute. All right, wait a minute. I don't want to do it. Wait a minute. You don't want to do what, Christy? Oh, come on. You got to come on and tell me. You don't want to do the assignment?
No, I do not want to do the assignment.
All right. Well, that's honesty is an excellent thing. Can you tell me what makes you not want to do this assignment?
I don't know where I should start.
Lots of
Working
reasons,
from
huh?
home, doing school from home, soccer, the 5 kids, the 2 dogs. That her schedule looks about like mine.
Well, I wonder if you even have time to do this schedule. As a matter of fact, wow, gosh. Yes, Rosabelle said, so that's a no, huh? Yeah. So, Christy, let's see for the, well, look, you're not alone. I mean, just look. And Daryl, what do you mean mine would all be green and blue? What do you mean by that? 5 kids. That's amazing to me. All sleep and eat. All right, Daryl. I know that's not true. So let me show you. Let's go to the book. Let's go. Well, first let's go to the assignment, and let's just all. Maybe we just need to do kind of like. Where I grew up, we always had like barn raisings and things like that to help each other out. So Christy, maybe we need to kind of group around soccer and each one of us take a kid or something to help you out one day. But it sounds like you really do have your hands full. So let's see if I can make this seem like an easier thing to do. If we look at this assignment, you can see that what you need to do is to break yourselves or your categories. I'm suggesting these 5. One would be class time. The other would be dedicated study time, travel time. Well, if you're just going from, if you're still quarantining and you're going from your basement to your living room, maybe you have another option that you use as a category. If you're driving a lot, travel time means that. If you are being driven, if you're still in high school and you don't have your license yet, I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but we do have dual enrollment students who are 14, and so they can't drive, and they're in classes with us too. I would, just as an aside, my youngest student has been 14 and my oldest student has been 72, all in the same courses, not necessarily in the same class. So that's another thing about working with your teams. We never are quite sure how old people are or how old we are as our students. So travel time for us might be how we are driven instead of driving ourselves, or if we're quarantined, could be maybe not relevant because we're not traveling anywhere. Work and other responsibilities. Christy, this is where you would put everything that looked like the students just before that. Some of you may have work, and if you have work, what you want to do is to make sure that you put down what you are doing during your work day. So I realize I have it switched, and I've got to go back and do that. I wanted to show something, though, on this one. So she doesn't do that. She's just saying pull, cut, and ship orders. So, okay, and she's only gone out once with her coworkers. So if you do pull, cut, and ship orders, and that's all you do, and there's no variety, then I guess it's okay to put this whole blank. But if you have a job that's very interactive and you're doing something different all the time, and you want to see, okay, just how many hours I'm spending in each one of these different tasks they have me to do, I mean, that could be something that you could use to get a raise or to negotiate if you could keep up with how many hours you are actually spending on something. So let's just, so here are the categories again: class time, dedicated study time, travel time. I spent a lot of talking on that. Work and other responsibilities is what we just talked about whether or not you need to or want to see what you're actually doing at work, or are you doing the same thing over and over so it's just one big merged cell. Sleeping and eating, and then you need to categorize and calculate your total time usage. There really was an Excel formulas tutorial inside that Excel tutorial you had last week. It was one on basics and there was one on formulas. So I'm going to show you how to do a couple of formulas, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew it was there. So here is, let me just go through this, and I want to do the exercise and just show you how to work that Excel spreadsheet. And the reason I'm doing it today, even though it's not even due until next week and there is that grace period till July the 4th, is because I want you to get into your head that you need to have 5 contiguous days. If you want to start on Sunday and move through Thursday, or Saturday and move through Wednesday, or Monday and move through Friday, then that's 5. When it says contiguous, it means connected, or one right after the other. So at least be thinking about how you want to observe yourself. You're really kind of going outside your body and evaluating what does that body do, and what does the mind that body is carrying do when it's walking around with that body hour by hour. That body means yourself. So here are exactly the steps to do. And then I put in here, why are we doing this? I do give you an Excel video on what to do. I tell you, here are some things you might want to think about just in time management. And then these are ways that you can track your time, just suggestions of how to track your time. All this is in lesson 7. So those 4 of you who said that you use, go ahead. Somebody's saying something?
I wanted to ask, could I do my the weekly thing? Could I do it of this week, or do I have to do it by each, like next week?
No, you can, for
Like
heaven's
starting
sake,
with
you can do
Monday?
it this week. Yeah, well, you can start, if you can remember it, fine. But Christy, you could also start it tomorrow and do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If you want to go back and you can replicate it that cleanly, I just, if I look at it, how am I going to know? Really? I mean, seriously. The benefit for you, though, is does it give you a really good picture of what your life's like so you can tweak it or evaluate it? So, yes, the answer is yes. I'm not going to say you can't do that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I want to share really quickly, and I'll need you guys to help me. So what I need you to do is I'm going to share my spreadsheet, and you guys need to help me remember the instructions, because unfortunately I only have one screen at work in the office. I have two, but I don't have two there. So, or two there means two here, for Pete's sakes. So just to make sure, for those of you who don't do Excel a lot, worksheets you can edit. So we're just going to call this sample 1. That's something I made a video on, and I will post that video so that and I'll post it inside this lesson so you'll see. But I'm going to just go in and have a second sheet, and we're going to call this Wednesday's class. And so when you have multiple sheets like this, you see this arrow, the circle with the plus inside. I can continue to add sheets, and I can continue to name them. So when you have more than one sheet, it becomes a workbook, an Excel workbook, as opposed to individual worksheets. So I think the very first thing we're supposed to do, if you follow instructions, now I need you guys to go, if you have the chance, and I'm going to flip back at it really, really fast because I want to make sure we're all singing from the same sheet of music, is you need to go to lesson 7, because I'll again need you to help me. I think I can remember a lot of this, but not all. And then I need you to just follow these instructions as I demonstrate how to do this. So let me go back and find out where I was. I'm going to bring you back there and rely on you from now on to kind of help me. So, but I think I can remember some of it. All right, so I'm going to share my Excel spreadsheet, the blank one, and we're doing Wednesday's class. And the first thing I believe it says to do is class schedule, or I'm going to put in, well, let's do that as it says it. You can see that the other people put weekly calendar, which is mainly what it is, but they said class schedule. Well, they didn't say spell it right though, did they? S-C-H-E-D-U-L-E. Okay. Then it says, if I recall correctly, to go into the gray area. So this is A, B, C, all the columns are alphabet, all the rows are numeric. So I think it said to put into A1, so column A, row 1, the term class schedule. Right? Is that right? Then I'm going to submit, I think the next instructions say to select A and then do format cells. So format cells can be right-clicked here, and it brings me this entire table. I'm going to cancel that because I also want to go point out that up in the top ribbon, it also says to format. And if I do the down arrow, it will open up the same types of options that right-clicking inside column A gave me as well. And you can see format cells is here, and it also gives me the same options. But I love doing right mouse click, so that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go back into the column after I've done what it says at that second bullet. Am I right? You guys will have to break in and tell me if I'm following it correctly. I know it says to do time, and then it says to click 1:30, right? Okay, I'm going to bebop over here. Am I doing it correctly so far? I think I am. So I'm going to go back to class schedule. It doesn't look like you can see the gray because I've just gone back to check. So I am going to put here 7 o'clock. Let's see if that happens. And that should come up as 7 a.m. Then I'm going to put 7:15. And if I hit return, it'll say 7:17. And then I'm going to hit 7:30 because it suggested I do it in, and I didn't write these instructions, by the way. That's why I say it suggested. I should say the author of this suggested. And so I'll just put 7:30. Now, what I need to do at this point is I need to let the computer do the rest with the timing. So I want to blow this up for you. And you see that little square right there in the corner that looks darker in the right-hand corner. I'm going to go back down to 100% to show you what happens, because I can show you more of the time that way. So I'm going to select all of these three as the instructions say, and notice I have a fat white cross that my cursor has turned into. Oops, sorry. But if I, whoops, come back. If I go, if I just put my cursor over the small corner box, that little darkened square, it becomes a thin cross, black cross. So I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to go down, and look what happens to the side. Can you see that? That it's becoming 8:30 a.m. Do you see all that? So it's actually tabulating according to how I set or programmed it to do when I selected the 1:30 p.m. And, you know, my day ends, what time does my day normally end? About 3 in the morning. It's not very healthy. So let me go back up to a more reasonable time. Let's see what happens when I let go. All right. What'd you think of that? Is that good? Can I get an amen or something? I mean, did you all follow that? Okay, thank you, Valerie. All right, so Valerie, okay, good. Thank you, Martin. Now, let me go back. I really, I can't, unfortunately, without having multiple screens, I just cannot see. Now I think I'm supposed to go in and probably put in B2. Is that right, that I put in B2 Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Is that what it says? I'm going to do it anyway, but look what I've done. I've actually put a timing in there. So I'm going to insert a row. And you'll notice right here that I get a paintbrush, and it's asking me, if I do that drop-down menu, do I want to use the same format as above, format as below, or do I want to clear the formatting? I'm actually going to ignore that because I don't need, in order to put what I'm about to here, anything to do with that formatting. But that is the reason I got the paintbrush, because I interrupted the formatting that I had started by selecting that 1:30 p.m. template. That might be another way that you think about it. You kind of embed a template when you select it. Oh, in this case, we're going to do Monday, and it tells me to grab it again. Notice how my mouse changes from a fat little white cross, and then I go to that perfect spot down in the lower right-hand corner, that darkened little corner there, and it turns into a thin black arrow. And I'm going to draw it across, and look what's happening. Voila. Isn't that cool? Now, some of the other things that it's going to ask you to do as I, let me think. I think one thing it'll ask you to do is to choose the borders. So maybe I should border everything. I know one thing I forgot, which was the merge and center. So I'm kind of off page right now because I'm doing it from memory instead of going back and forth. But I want to border it, let's say. So I can go to borders here, and I can select what my border might look like. And if I only wanted to do outside borders, I could select something like this. If I walk away from it, you can see that there's borders here all the way around it. But let me choose the same, excuse me, let me go in and I'm going to just see if I could do this for you here. I'm going to choose the same area, and I'm going to show you another thing that you could do. I can go back to borders, and I can go into more borders down here. And then maybe I want to do something like this. And you can see what it will look like. This is kind of like, I don't know, my dry run, my sandbox. What happens if I hit OK? I don't know. Let's see. Look at that. So I suddenly now have a grid. If I want to, and I believe this is supposed to be, I think we're supposed to, according to the directions, go A through F. I go up to merge and center. I want to download or do the drop down arrow. So I'm going to hit merge and center, and you see that happen. Another one of the things that it will ask you to do is to create space. well, let's do this just for a moment. Everything's supposed to be 15 width. So I'm just going to go back into column width, and I'm going to just select 15. I'm going to hit OK. Magic occurs again. Isn't that cool? One last thing is that it wants you to put where your class is. So I'm going to select here, go 6 o'clock, 6:15, down to 8 o'clock, which is when our class meets. I have astigmatism, so sometimes I can't tell. And so I'm going to go back to merge and center, and I'm going to merge the cell. There you go. And so I'm going to put first year experience in here, but I don't like it down at the bottom. And I think it's FYES 1000. So again, I'm going to go back to that format cell. Oops, not what I wanted, because I was inside the cell. So let me cancel that. Let me go out and let me come back in. Now I'm going to hit format cell, and I'm going to alignment. So I like to put it in the center. Why not? So we'll put it in the center, and just in case I have lots of words and I don't want it to run over into the next column, I'm going to hit wrap text. And look at this, what happened. Oh, what did happen? Aha. Let's look and see. I don't want it there. I want it center, center, not center bottom. I'm going to do that, center, center. See? Isn't that cool? And the last thing that I'll demonstrate for you is how to do cell fill. So the instructions also say, let's do a separate color for your classes. And maybe, and you can see what the other students, the other examples did. They just had color all over the place, right? So I can do this in two ways too. I can go back to that right click I love to do on the mouse. I can go to format cells, and I can go to fill. And so I can, and it'll show you a sample down here. I can turn that whole thing yellow, but I don't like yellow. It's not my favorite color, but lime green or yellow green is. So this is what it will look like, and let's just click and say OK. So, but let's say that I have another class and I want everything FYES to be that color, but let's say I have another class. So I'm going to merge here, merge cells, and I'm going to do biology lab, maybe bio lab. And I still want to format my cells here. And so let me do formatting cells. That's not what I want. I'm on the wrong thing. Come back out and go back in. And I want to do my alignment. I want to just show you one more way of doing, and then I'm going to come back over and talk to you guys a moment. I'm going to go ahead and hit that. Come up so they can see, hit OK. And I can also come up here in the ribbon, and I can do a cell fill as well. Bio, let's see. Yeah, I don't like that color. What about, that's too dark. I'm going to stick with, oh, there. Okay, there you go. Biolab. That looks like something I might dissect. All right, so let me stop, and then I want to do a formula for you really quickly, and then we'll be done. So thanks, Dariel. It is easy, and once you get the hang of it, it's fun, actually. I love Excel. I worked with 1 million records from one of the local health agencies last spring, 2 months ago, and I'm working with them again, and all of my data analysis. Matter of fact, a book I'm trying to certify on right now is called Excel, Microsoft Excel Data Analysts and Business Modeling. All 100 million or 1 million of those records were all done on Excel. So once you get the hang of it, I'm telling you, you're going to fall in love with it. And I've said before, a lot of students, when they leave, maybe 2 or 3 a class, will say their most valuable thing they learned in first year experience was working with Excel. So one last thing before I kind of close out for the evening and give you time to work on your groups is I want to demonstrate how to do how to do a formula. So I started this for you already, and let me take this out just as a sample. I've already shown you how you can just do an auto sum, and I can come up and add that way. If you drop down auto sum, you can also see that there are other functions that you could do by clicking on, oh, there's tons of them actually. So you can count things up, you could do the maximum, the minimum, you can do the percentages, lots of different things. But I think in yours, you're probably just going to do adding and subtracting. Anytime you come up to the formula bar and you hit an equal sign, it's going to start a formula. So you got to be careful where you put the sign because it took out my number. Oh, I don't know, it must have been 5 in there since my total is 8. So we're going to hit 5 again. So I'm going to clear this out. Oh, but look, oh. So I clicked on N3, is it? Yeah, it must be. So I clicked on N3. It shows you the formula that was used before. So I want a couple of things on that. Let me just populate this with numbers. I'm just going to be random here. Oops, that was like really random, wasn't it? I started my own separate spreadsheet. So let's do 2, I don't know, 1, and then how about 8, and there you go. So let me take that out too. So one of the things that I can do is I can come here and I can put an equal sign, and then I'm going to add this one. You see how it put, that's I, by the way. So it's I, not 14, it's I4. And I have to put the operator. So what do I want to do with this? Well, I want to do a plus, and that is above the equal sign near the backspace. And then I want to do this number. And you see how it did it for me? And all I have to do is to hit return, and it'll add it for me. The other thing I can do is I can go to this cell and I can copy. And then if I go here, I'd be curious to see, will it copy the formula? I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, there's the formula right there. So will it copy the formula or the number? Well, that's not fair because the answer was the same. So this would be 41, right? So let's see if it did that. So I'm going to hit paste. I'm going to hit the formula again. Let's see if it did 41. Why, by George, it did. And you can look to see that the formula was copied from how I started in the beginning all the way down to the end. So now what happened there? It's because I'm bouncing all over the place. So let's go back here and we'll do that again. So I just want to go here where the formula was. I want to hit copy, and then I want to come here and hit paste. And you notice there are different icons at the bottom of these clipboards. So I want to go to the one FX stands for formula. If you did calculus or algebra 2, maybe even algebra 1, you're familiar with the F that stands for formula. So I'm going to go ahead and click that formula because that's what I'm pasting. And then that gave me the 9. I'm going to paste it again here. Oh, it didn't give me that option, so I wonder what happened. Well, I'll hit copy again and see if it does it here. Yeah, there you go. Well, why not? Just do it there too. That should be 16. So there you go. All right. So I just wanted to demonstrate all those steps, and I'm coming back to you now to see what questions do you have? Anything? Okay, one question.
I have a
None for me. Okay, thanks, Gabriel. Yes. Please.
Okay, so
Yes, Valerie.
this is due next week?
The best case is due next week, but I left the Dropbox open until July the 4th, Valerie. So I wanted to introduce it to you this week just so you could begin thinking about it. And thinking about how you were going to kind of keep up with your count and keep up with everything. How am I going to remember that what I was doing at 12 o'clock? But yes, so it's technically due next week, but you have until July the 4th. And the reason that everything is seen, well, it's because we only have after this week, what? We have June 27th, July the 4th, July the 11th, the last day of class. did you know the last day of classes is Saturday, July the 11th? And that is just 3 weeks. Oh, Chrissy, I hear one of your babies. I want that one.
I don't think you would want this one.
It sounds adorable. Okay, so the key is that you guys are just masters at this. You really have taken on such a task to do first year experience in an 8-week time period, because it's not what some people think as a fluff class, and I really hope it doesn't feel that way to you. There's meat in this class, not only when it comes to the Microsoft suite and trying to get this technology under your belt, but learning about yourself as a human who happens to also, in this phase of your life, you're a student too. So there's so much to learn about being an educating human being. So there's a lot, but you can do it, and I'm not going to let you fail. You put forth the effort, and we will work through it together. So I just have a hard stop myself. And Valerie, this is kind of to the point of is it due, when is it due? It's because we're bumping into hard stops. Like, I have to have your grades submitted by July the 21st. And so the 18th is the drop dead date for everything. I mean, if I see that you as one student are struggling and you're just getting behind on things, then I'll work out something with you on an individual basis. The reason I put those due dates in there, though, is so that you know how to kind of keep up with the cadence. You know what I mean? Like when people march, or if you're ever in marching band, there's a cadence you have to keep up with. Everybody marches to the same beat. And so that's to make sure that you all stay in the beat, in rhythm with what our calendar is, with what the school semester is. So that's the rhythm that we have to stick in there with. What other questions do you have? So I'm going to make a statement too. Some of you are already at over 100% of the points that you'll need. Now you can't just kind of like stop now, because eventually that will willow itself down to being at 70% or whatever. But some of you are already at 134% of all the points that were done, because you've done every extra credit and you've done every extra assignment. So think strategically. Some things you may want to put less effort in than others, because all you need is 900 points to have an A in this class. I think I present to you probably 1,500 points. Maybe, I don't know if it's that many, but I certainly present to you an option of earning, or kind of picking fruit, if you will, low-hanging fruit, more than a number of points that you have to have. I always expand it. So you might want to look at things and think, can I drop this one or not be, just give maybe 60% of my effort on this because I'm happy with that many points. So I would encourage you in every class to think strategically about where you need to get the best return on your time investment. And that's that Parada rule, and I cannot remember what chapter it is in your book, but it's 20% of your effort is going to produce 80% of your reward. That's like 20% of your group members will do 80% of the work. That's just the way this kind of rule or law works. So as you're looking at all the assignments left, if you elect not to do one, then just let that go, because you've thought strategically. And actually, this is a very good practice, if you think about it, about being a student, because you might not be able to do everything in any class and in the rest of your education career in your life. So you choose, what do I need to invest my time in to get the maximum return for my ultimate goal? Does that make sense? So you just need to think. And that, by the way, is in chapter 5. How to stay engaged, how to think strategically, all those things. So everything that we're doing, even these conversations, are actually part of the book and part of just existing. Now, in a pleasant way. So now what questions do you have? None from me still. All right, so I'm about to let you go, and I'm going to stay, but I want to do one last poll because I want to do I want to take your temperature. Every time I walk into a place these days, it's like I have to have my temperature checked. So I want to just do this. For those of you, by the way, who said that you're stuck in your groups, I really need to hear from you. There was no way for me to see who said that, no way for anybody else to see who said that. So I would like to hear from you because I don't want you stuck, and I will work with you to help you get unstuck. I'm going to send out a poll at this stage, which is like half the class is behind you, only 4 weeks left to go. No, I got in the words. Hold me, excuse me just a second. Oh, there's another dog whining. And if you answer no to this, I really want to hear back from you. So here you go. If you'll just pause that, and I'm going to check, poll that. If you'll give me your answers, then I want to check out your chat. Okay, Gabriel just gave instructions. Oh, Rosabelle, you just made the spreadsheet. Oh my gosh. All right, Rosabelle, you make sure you fill out that spreadsheet. Just don't, I'm proud of you that you made the chart. That's wonderful. Make sure you put all the right things in it. But I know you didn't fill in your whole week, Rosabelle, just like in 5 minutes. Okay, so 5 of you, where are you? Oh, you follow, I'm so proud of you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Proud of you that you followed those instructions as I went. That was clever of you. Okay, so 5 of you haven't answered me yet. Where are you? All right, great. So far, a good response. Remember, I can't see who it is responding yay or nay. You'll fill it out later. Good for you. Yeah, you have to make the spreadsheet first. That's a good point. Okay, so 2 of you haven't answered me yet. Maybe that's some of you that are on the call. So what I'm going to do, Christy, what does that mean? There's one I and then nothing. What happened? Were you taken over by a child or something?
I was taken over by a 2-year-old, sorry.
That's okay. So, Christy, is it thumbs up or thumbs down for you?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, good. Okay, good. All right, well, you guys really, as a group, are doing a phenomenal job, and you are. And I'm very impressed. I'm proud, too. Proud of you. So I'm going to stay here. If you need me, I'm going to take a short break and put myself on mute, and then I'll be back. And if you want to come back in and check on things, let me know. Oh, one last thing. If you can upload your assignment through the group activity in your link as a group that tells you all your group members, etc., then do it that way because the whole group gets points, and that's easier than for me going to each person. But if you can't, no biggie piggy. So no worries. Thank you for joining me tonight. I did record this, thank goodness, and I will post it later for people who weren't able to attend or if you want to see things later. And if you need me again, I'll be on until 8. And if you need me anytime afterwards, let me know. And Keisha, you are so welcome. All right, take care, everybody. I'm going to stop this recording, but I will be back in a few minutes.
I had a question
Make sure you
about.
let me know who. Oh yes, go ahead, Christy.
About putting in our group. Do we upload it in where it says discussion board?
No, you upload it into the assignment itself. Let me show you what that should look like, and let me go to that, and let's see if it actually does that for you. So hold on just a second. Hang on, Christy. Fiddlesticks. Hang on just un momento, por favor. So let me go here. And I think it is here. Let me see. All right. No, it's not there. Hang on just a minute, and I will be there. Let me just find this one example that I have. I think it's this one. Let's see. Well, I just
It's
now
in,
remembered.
it's in lesson
Yeah.
5?
If you see it in lesson 5, then go ahead and upload it, because it will continue to upload. It's unlimited. Everything you put in there will continue to be added one after the other. But there is a way of getting through lesson 5, or that makes your group more organized, makes all the groups more organized. And so it, I think, is this. So now I found it. So let me bring you back to me. Sounds like you're already in it, Christy. It might be good though for me to let everybody see this part. So I'm going to flip over here a sec and show you here.
Oh, I was letting
So,
Roosevelt know that I was already in our group thing.
oh, okay, great. So do you see this where this is how it looks from my student view if I'm pretending I'm a student. So I would go to activity groups that are due, and then it shows, this is another class, but it shows where I am. And underneath it says activity assignment. And so I would click on this, and so you can see he's already submitted this. If I go to assignment instructions, seems like maybe it will take me to lesson 5 back out. Looks like it does. So I can go into lesson 5 that way and see where it says start new. So I would start my next assignment. So they uploaded this one, and then I'm going to put in the group work plan here. So, and by the way, you guys do know that we add these points. So what you did last week was worth 20. What you're doing this week is worth 25. And
It's not,
so you'll be adding it. What, Christy? So I'm going to browse my computer and upload my group work plan. I think I can do this for you guys to see if I can find the example. Yeah, activity group work plan is this template there. So I just, hang on, let me clear this out of your way. You guys probably can't see that. Let me just clear that.
I was trying to find
So
it, but it's not showing
it's
under
not
my
showing
group.
in your,
No.
so it's not, okay. If it's not showing that, I do have a call into Blackboard support to find out why some groups it's showing and some groups it's not. So it's probably some button I didn't push, and that will be my issue. So I would go, if you can go to 5. Do you see it in 5, Christy? In lesson
Yes.
5? Okay, so just go ahead and add it up, but make sure that you put, and of course you will because this is your group work plan, make sure you put all of your group members' names on it so I can make sure they all get the same point.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, let me see. Oh, yes, ma'am, you're so welcome. Gabriel, it is supposed to be in everybody's, and as I said, and Daryl, it sounds like it's missing in group 1 too. I'm not sure why it's not working in your class. Evidently not in any group. Some groups it's working in, some groups it's not. So Blackboard support and I've missed each other, and as long as you can, what am I trying to say? Put it up through lesson 5 in the activity, then it'll just continue to add one assignment right after the other, and I'll just add your points. And don't be alarmed if your points say like 20 and then 25 and the whole thing's supposed to be worth 50, because you can see here it accumulates in blue. So, gotcha. Okay, thanks, Gabriel. All right. Okay, then I'm going to just slip away for a moment, and I'll be back here if you all need to see me. Otherwise, bye. I will. Don't forget discussion number 2. Don't forget your group work plan, and work ahead if you can. I'll be back in a minute. Hi, everybody. I see that there are 4 of you left. Who is left? Martin, Keisha, and Fasia. So, Fasia, Keisha, Martin, do you guys have a special request or what's up?
Martin, we're trying to get Martin to